Hello, welcome everybody to another episode of Arthur's Roundtable. We're super happy to have Daniel here with us today. Actually, a credit to a friend of mine who's also a renowned MMA fighter who is now become an investment manager. And so, shout out to Nick for connecting us, and thank you very much. So, Daniel, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. Let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about your career and then how it evolved into helping the underprivileged. Let's just call it that, or underserved.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thanks for having me on. It's a blessing to be able to spend time with you today. We started, I mean, when I was 19 years old, I started like a little strength training program for kids in the summer. And so I was always around how do I give back and add value to people's lives. When I was 28 years old and finishing my MMA career, and I retired 28-0, 20 amateur, 8-0 pro. I just went through a lot of fight contract challenges and my mind just wasn't there. And just crazy sports side of it. Wrestled for WWE, $1 million Tough Enough on SmackDown, world weightlifting champ when I was 17. And so I was blessed to be able to have the really, really good coaches. And I got on TMZ and it was somewhat of a fluke, which is interesting. It's really not a fluke, when something happens right in life. And
No.
got on TMZ and yeah, I know it always works how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I think that, look, my editorial, I admit it, but I've come to believe that the universe has your back and it just happens to
Yeah,
know better. Just got to pay attention, right?
100%. Yeah, I agree. TMZ interviewed me and said I was out to dinner with one of my mentors, and they said, "What do you think about kids being bullied and committing suicide?" And as a kid, I was labeled what they would say learning disabled. I was put in the special ed classes for the challenge of comprehension. And so I would read something and it wouldn't make sense. So it's funny today how I read, 60-page contracts and I find things that my lawyers don't even find.
Yeah.
And I've just learned how to learn. I've learned how to read. I've learned how to understand like better than, at some points, but reading still, like it just takes me sometimes longer to get it done. And I just work 3 times harder. And so TMZ blew it up and I was on TMZ for about, I don't know, 8 or 10 weeks in a row. We got over 10,000 emails from 12 countries. I think it was in 8 weeks, first 8 weeks, something like that. And it was from kids, it's from parents, and it was from adults. And the kids were like, I'm being bullied. The parents were like, my kid is being bullied. Would you please help them? And I said on TMZ, I'll come to your school if you're being bullied. Here's my email address. That was crazy. So, and then the adults, that was the thing that shocked me. The adults said, I wish I had you to protect me when I was a kid.
Wow. So what did they
So 100,000.
expect? I'm sorry, uh,
Yeah.
just for the benefit of the group. What did they expect from you to show up at their school, and then what actually happened?
Yeah. So, I mean, I got thousands of emails and I'm like, this is a problem. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't think it was, I thought
Yeah.
it was me and a few other kids getting
Right.
bullied, right? Like, as a kid. And I'm like, oh, this is a major, it's not a US thing. This is a world issue.
Yeah.
So I started going to schools. I've already worked with the police athletic league program and different. I knew different people in law enforcement, and so we put a training together for law enforcement and educators. We put a curriculum together for kids. Now it has 5 published studies through the College of William and Mary. It got funded from the White House through the Office on National Drug Control Policy for 5 years. We're the number one anti-drug program now in the country with scientific evidence that doesn't talk about drugs.
Hmm.
So you don't need to talk about bullying to solve bullying. You don't need to talk about drugs to solve drugs. It's not the root of the issue. The root of the issue, for instance, for like drugs is you either want to feel or not feel. The root issue of bullying is where's the hurt? Where's the belief? So there's a feeling that comes out that then there's an expression, and hurt people, and loving people love people. So to get to the root belief is the biggest challenge. And the drugs and all these things we see that are going on, those are not the issues of what today. Like human trafficking. Human trafficking is not, the sale of a human is the real issue. The real issue is that somebody wants to take another human and force them to do something, right? For money.
For money.
So
Yeah.
there's a root belief issue inside of another human that they want to control another human into a type of slavery.
Yeah.
So,
And
um, and,
human trafficking happens to be super profitable, right? It's better than drug
yeah,
dealing from a
yep,
criminal perspective because once you sell the
yep,
drugs, it's over. But if you have somebody in captivity, they just keep on, producing an annuity stream of income. It's sad.
yep. It's really crazy. And a lot of those kids come from our streets, our foster care system, our DJJ system, our homeless system. Like it's very interesting. People like I work with a couple different teams that do amazing things. And yeah, it's I mean, we put kids that have been sold into human trafficking in our schools after they've been recovered. Um, so I started a nonprofit, like what every other pro athlete would do is start a
Right,
nonprofit, right?
right.
Like, oh man,
Yeah.
the lessons I've learned. I would not recommend anybody starts a nonprofit. It never, from my opinion at this point, I mean, we have it. We have contracts today. We'll do a couple million this year. But we have 3 board members. It's very small, very simple. But the impact we do is amazing. And and we grow every year. So I had it, and then I started a for-profit school system where we're state funded, and then we started a tech company, and then we started buying real estate for the schools, and then we just got our medical ACA license that isn't even in our business plan that you probably saw. That will be an additional revenue. And then we have a contract through vocational rehab, which is another contract that we have now through the Department of Education. So we're just like, we're taking these like the lowest hanging, most challenged students that are foster care, homeless, human trafficked, expelled, arrested, the ones that have anger issues, psychological issues, from like the standpoint of professionals, right? And we put them in a environment where I'll give you an example. I was with Mike Tyson came into my school in Liberty City and to speak one day because we have a school with him in Arizona. He comes into our school, he speaks, he cries about his mother and some other stuff.
I read that. I saw the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, really powerful. But he's in the Liberty City, not the Arizona campus.
Yeah.
And because I asked him to speak in the beginning, and at the end, he's like, "These kids aren't like the kids you told me, the bad kids." And I'm like, "Well, no, I never told you they're bad kids. I said they are like labeled as those bad kids. You put those kids in an environment where they're supported, they're loved, that you help them create a vision, help them create a purpose, and you do that every single day. And it's the environment that they're in, they're going to change their heart and their mind to be like very vision, purpose driven." And he looks at me, he goes, "Really?" I go, 100% of these kids in here either failed out or something went on in their life, 100%, and 97% will graduate.
Wow.
And he's looking at me like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's what we've done. Like, we've created the future of education."
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
So, can we talk a little bit about and get in the weeds a little bit? How did you
Mhm.
get a for-profit to be state funded? Like that's like
Yeah.
sounds like a trick to me that you figured out, right?
Yeah. So we with school choice that's happening today,
Yes.
you have it in Utah where you live, Iowa, Utah, Carolinas, Georgia, Arizona. There's about 14, I think there's 14 states that are what they call backpack funding. So wherever the kid goes, the money goes. And so we went and applied for contracts with the state. And anybody can do it per se, but what they haven't done is they haven't created a tech platform, and they haven't created uh, a real estate platform. I mean, they might buy like one school. Like most owners of private schools will have one or two schools, and they might own the real estate after 10 or 15 years. And what we've done is we built our own tech to actually run the whole entire school district from the day that kid walks in to the learning management system and the curriculum and now we're so funny. Let's see. I'll see if I can close a deal, but I don't want to mention it here because it's not done yet. But we're talking to a couple AI companies, and now we're adding the AI in. And so it's called Puder.AI. It's my last name.ai. And the goal is we want these kids to be uber successful while they're in high school, learn how to learn. But that AI and what we're doing with biometrics and some really cool things, the direction we're going. We're on stage 3 now of the company, of the build. We've been building this for 4 years. Before AI was a thing, like 3 years ago, we started building this with here's how we're going to revolutionize education. The difference we have versus like these other AI companies is we have a global corporate accreditation through Cogni and SAC. So all of our schools, I can open up a new school, I can do my online school, and it's automatically accredited. And I can do schools anywhere in the world. And a kid that graduates from our school district, we have the same accreditor as Miami-Dade, Broward, Phoenix, Arizona. So largest school district in the country. But we're one of only like 100 or 150 privately held, state funded only, by the way, school districts. I think we're probably one of like 10 that only take that only take public funds. The reason why I say that is because a lot of school districts will charge $15,000, $20,000 per year per kid at a private school. We've just figured out how to do it and make it profitable with the same ability of only taking that 8,000-ish dollars per year per kid and not charging the kids any fees. And the reason we don't do that is it actually costs me more money to charge $150 to $350 registration fee, which I was fully into until we were spending $400 to go get 350,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so a lot of these families, they literally can't finance or fund $400, 350, even $150 renewal fee. They can't afford it.
Yeah.
And I've seen like they live in Section 8. Mother doesn't have a job. Like, how are they going to spend? They have 4 or 5 kids. How are they going to spend
Not going
a
to
thousand
happen.
dollars a
Yeah.
year?
Yeah. It's
Right.
not gonna happen. Yeah.
So we just don't do it. Like we our goal is like I want to end poverty in America. The way to do that is not like traditional education, but it's like human education. So at the end of the day, I want to be able to build the human development where that human wants to become the best version of themselves and wants to go after their goals and dreams and become successful in life. And when they do that, we all become successful because now they don't go into homelessness or prisons or foster care, and there's not this cycle of issues going on. So from my kids and yours and everybody else listening, like let's solve the problem together. It's very simple. It takes one generation of them not going into the system for us then to save billions of dollars. Like we're our unfunded liabilities in America are over 100 trillion at this point.
Yeah. It's
Let's
ridiculous.
cut it down.
Yeah.
Like let's create real healthcare instead of sick care. Let's create real human development where the kids now want to learn. And our kids only go to school 4 hours a day and they love it. And they get more out of that than what they were getting at the previous schools.
Is it fair to say uh, that the area in which you start one of these schools is a rough area by definition? Um, and
When you say
that
rough, do you mean like violent, low
violent,
income? Like,
dangerous, where there's a lot
yeah,
of potential people to help. Like
yes.
I'm not suggesting anything except
Yeah,
that people, where I'm going with the question is, okay, how do you get the talented teachers to agree to be
yeah,
part of that if it's potentially in a dangerous place, right? And
for
that may
sure.
not all be true, but that's my question.
Yep. Okay. So first of all, our first school was based in Liberty City, Florida. Liberty City, 7 years. These are 8 school years. So eight years ago was the most violent neighborhood in South Florida.
Wow.
So just put it there, right? I would go in. I probably never saw another white person or Hispanic person in Liberty City until I brought them in. So that just to give you a concept, right? Like I'd go in and play basketball with the kids. Like my thing is it's so interesting because I grew up in Cupertino, California, middle class. My parents had a house they bought in the 80s for 80 grand, right? Like, I mean, Cupertino went straight up,
Right.
right? Um, but I didn't understand, what real poverty was. I didn't understand what foster care was. I didn't understand what jail was until
Yeah.
I went to juvenile hall at 16 for beating up one of the bullies. Um, I didn't understand a bunch of things because I was sheltered, and I hung out with a bunch of Asian kids and Indian kids because it's Cupertino, California.
Right.
So I didn't understand like I was different. Like there was no like difference, right? Like it was just like you have this skin tone, I have this. Like okay, like doesn't matter. On the second part is we find I just met our teaching staff yesterday. It's funny because I'm so removed from like day-to-day operations now. I met one of our staff members, just graduated with a master's degree from UM, and she's one of my teachers down at our Florida City campus. And I'm like, she's talking about neuro like engineering. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I'm like, and Florida City is like where all of the from like Liberty City, Miami Gardens, everything is being gentrified down to Florida City at this point. So we don't, from my what I think is the environment that we create and we allow our teaching staff to be able to support our kids. We don't get we get really good staff. We don't get as much pushback, I think, on our organization. It's really amazing to be able to see the level of our team and their just their heart and their mind and the vision they have for wanting to change these kids' lives.
Yeah, we have a family member that has been in a very bad school district in Long Island for her
Mhm.
entire career. And it's the whole thing with, metal detectors and, you know, violence every day. And she's put
Yep.
up with it for, 25 years or so, right? And
Yep.
it hasn't gotten any better because it's a public school system, right? Which is
Yep.
arguably the other thing, I guess, is that if you're private, even if you're state funded, is the curriculum subject to their approval, or you can do whatever you want?
So state funding sources having a big the, yes, we have a lot of leeway on that because we're private.
Yeah.
For the core curriculum, we use only Department of Ed certified curriculum. For electives, we create our own electives, which are we base it around elective framework, part of the state of because we're in three different states now. So we as a standard, because of our creditor, bring our standard up to the highest level. I know other private schools, they do a lot of mishmash stuff. They can do whatever they want, or a lot more leniency. And they do. We just have Jen and Tammy that run our ed team. They just have a really high standard. We do have metal detectors. We have armed guards. It's not just for in our school, it's for people attempting to get to our kids in our school too.
I love the idea,
So,
by the way, just to be totally transparent. There's a lot of
yep,
objection to having armed guards. I think it's a fantastic idea because it's a deterrent. And I'd
huge.
love to hear
Yep.
your opinion on this because the people who object to it are saying, I don't want my kid going to school and thinking they have to worry about being safe. And I said, they're not safe. We've already determined that, right? Right.
So, I think number one, yeah. So this is good. So I was a deputy at St. Francis County Sheriff's Department. I did a reserve program for 3 years. So what I saw in 3 years, I've never seen in my life before that. So I think that's just it's just there's so much hurt and pain in this world, and it's a very small percent of people that do actual crimes. If you look at where the crimes, the highest level of crimes that are committed in America, let's just take Chicago, right? It has the highest level of gun control. So I'm not, I'm just saying, like, these are the facts,
Yeah.
right? High level crime, zero guns that are legal. Now, every gangster has a gun. And one of our schools, 1 year, we had 15 different cliques or gangs in one school.
Oh, wow.
So what do? We change the environment. Now, I want to be able to protect them, and I want to be able to protect. And this is the biggest thing for parents. Do you want your kid protected? Yes. The difference between our guards and I started my own guard company, so I have a MB and a B license. We started our own because we were getting outside guards that were not trained on human development. So what we do every quarter is we're the only guard company. It's called White Light Security. I think from what I know, we're the only guard company in the country that does 4 days of training a year. We pay for them and we pay for the range time. We pay for the trainer. We pay for all the ammo. So it's a lot of work. My biggest challenge is I'm still a better shot than all the guards. I'm pretty good. but I give them smack every year, and I go up against them one on one on
Nice.
different our
Yeah.
shoot houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, you guys do this full time. Now, I'm pretty good. I've done a lot of training in my life. I trained with DEA, trained with FBI, trained with ATF, trained with different groups, trained with SWAT guys. So I've had a lot of training, and I'm pretty, pretty athletic too. So I know how to do it. But I find that we want to put the right people in the right position to make sure there's never a problem in advance of there might be an issue.
So when you say you changed the environment when you had the gang issue, part
Yep.
of it was putting the armed guards in.
So no, it was putting the right teacher in on that one. Actually, we
Yeah.
had an armed guard on that, but it was putting the right teacher in the classroom with those kids.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, pretty
So,
cool. It's very simple. It's like if you put one manager in, and you remove one manager that can't manage and can't build a team, and you put a new manager, and the team runs.
yeah.
It's a really simple solution, not easy, and most people don't know how to do it. It's that human connection, obviously, and
Yeah.
building those right relationships. I think a big thing with kids, the number one thing I found is if you're full of crap, they're going to know you're full of crap
Yeah.
faster than anybody else.
Easy.
If you're authentic, right, and like kind and supportive, they're going to know that, and they're going to want more.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids can spot inauthentic behavior in a second.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Their radar's on. So can you make enough money as an enterprise? And I'm setting you up on purpose. Uh,
Yeah.
with the $8,000 per student allocation and buy the real estate so you have the equity and provide a curriculum and provide a safe environment. Is it working?
Yeah. So we can do within a school. So we did over 8 million last year in revenue. We can in a school of 300 kids, we can make 5 to 700,000 net per year. So let's just say 2.4 million in revenue. It'd be let's just say lowball it 500. So around 20%.
Yeah.
So I go 20 to like almost 30% of revenue, and that doesn't include vocational rehab. That doesn't include our medical. That doesn't include our staffing company we're launching next year. That doesn't include any of those things.
So
So we're building a staffing company now because our kids are trained at such a high level. We're now doing certificates, and now companies are coming to us hiring our kids because we're giving them the right framework. And now people are like, I want to hire them. Be like, okay, so pay us
yeah,
because we are putting more money into the
sure.
kids, but we're doing it cost effective, being cost effective.
So we all can probably agree that anything run by the government uh, tactically is
Yeah.
probably full of fat waste and no accountability, right?
Yeah.
In your experience, you can deliver this, make a handsome profit, have kids out of trouble, and you can produce the results where the students are actually doing well. Is that fair to say?
Yes. And I'll give you one number. In Miami-Dade alone, with a couple thousand foster care kids, the contract with DCF is 100 million a year for 5 years.
Wow.
So let's just say 50,000 a year per kid, right? In foster care. Let's I'll throw you one more number. An average kid in Florida, my partner used to be what they would call like a director or warden of one of the juvenile halls down here. And they were spending a couple 100,000 a year per kid. Let's just say it's 100,000 on average.
Yeah.
So double. So now you have a kid in jail at 100,000 a year. You have 1% of our kids in America arrested every year. So 1% is nothing. But if one kid is jails is 10 times what we spend on education per year, then it adds up. If we drop those to 50% less or 90% less, because when you get out of juvenile hall in the state of Florida, you have more than a 50% chance to get rearrested in 18 months. If you get out of juvenile hall in Florida and you come to our school, you have less than a 1% chance of getting rearrested.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so we've taken kids out of juvenile hall and then we put them in our system. We work with the judges, we work with foster care industry down here, and our goal is to make sure we put those industries out of business.
So you talked earlier about drugs and white people
Bullying.
bullying, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a lot of gang influence, right? And
Mhm.
like I don't know what
Yep.
I'm talking about, but I'm just telling you what I hear, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what I'm saying is not supported by any empirical data, just what I hear, and that the gangs are someplace to be affiliated with because their family is not important to them or not supportive, or their parents are crack drug addicts or whatever. They're just bad parents. Um,
Yep.
is getting them out of juvenile hall into your school part of the reason for the success is they're not going back to their natural community of people who are doing nothing but that stuff, which is what they would naturally want to do just because they're kids, right?
So I think it's two parts. They're going back to their community and living back in the same home most of the time, but they're coming to a school that's different than where their normal friends are. So that's one piece is we pull them out of that day-to-day environment. The second piece is how we actually help them see life. So we start every morning with what we call our coach up program. And we have this 30 minutes of our coach up program called morning motivational. So that's one of the pieces of coach up. So in 30 minutes every morning, you know who Tony Robbins is, right?
Yeah, of course.
So my partner and I just did we're doing Date with Destiny coming up, but we just did Business Mastery, and I'm working with Tony. He committed on stage to build a school with us. So we've already talked about it. We've had meetings. So we're working on it. I'm working personally with him. And think about if you got 30 minutes of affirmations and incantations and figuring out your life every morning for 30 minutes
Yeah.
for a whole school year, starting at 12 years old. You would be a rock star
You
because
would
you're figuring out
you
your
would
vision.
definitely
You're
be
figuring out
completely different than you if you didn't have it,
huge.
right?
Yeah, like yeah, think about if you get none of that, you just have to go to math class starting one. And
Yeah.
then you're hanging out with your friends, you got to go sit in math class, and you got to go to English, and you got to go history, and you got to go this, you got to go to elective. We start off clearing the mind and getting the mind and the heart really connected to where we're going.
Yeah.
What most people do in life is they're looking backwards and they're trying to go this way.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at, oh, I want to go hang out at this party. Oh, I want to go be special.
Yeah.
Like those are all beliefs. That's great. My question is, does it work for you? And does it get you to where you want to go? And most people, most kids today, they want to be rich. They want to be billionaires. They want to be all these things until they understand that what it takes to be a billionaire, what it takes to be a multimillionaire, what it takes to run a company, what it takes, like the dedication and commitment and devotion of every day of getting a company to, like we'll do 10, 12 million this year in revenue, but getting a company to over $10 million is like, I don't know what the percent is, but it's like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
0.00001% of people
I
build a
know.
company that's
Yeah, I know. It's super interesting to me because I don't know, like I'm not part of the generation, so I don't really know what kids are thinking today. Like I don't have kids that are that age in school, and they're not in my natural, network of people, and I don't get exposed to that. I am, uh, however, sensitive to their, what's going on with social media and stuff like that. So they see people, you know, even if they don't have any money standing next to a Bugatti and they're going, wait a minute, how am I going to do that? Well, I could deal drugs, I guess, right? Or
yep,
so I don't know how all that, what they think it takes.
yep,
But I
yeah,
was taught that successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. It was really that
yep,
simple to me. And
yep.
that's how that was one of the lessons that I learned really early on. He says, well, you got to do the hard shit, right? It just doesn't happen. What about go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, like the people that are making money in some of the cities that we're in, some of them own small businesses. Some of them, are drug dealers, right? Some of them are pimps. Like some of them are, some of them are on, they don't have a job. A lot of these mothers are on Section 8.
Yeah.
Our goal is like it's very difficult to get to a mother that's 50 years old with 5 kids on Section 8. It's very difficult to get her time and attention. Like Career Source here in Florida was doing that. And the challenge was so under whether whatever politics, but I'm not even going to throw the president, but under one of our presidents, about 6, 8 years ago, they actually created more funding to train mothers, specifically mothers, single mothers. So they put a lot of training line itemed it at the federal level to go to state levels to train single mothers. But they didn't line item to be able to have daycare.
Right. So they would never show up.
So, I mean, I did a training for a bunch of them, but
Yeah.
the guy told me, he goes, we can fill rooms, but he goes, we could fill 10 times the rooms if we had this one other thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the crazy thing about like politics and policy these days is like people don't think
Yeah.
about what we have to do to solve the problem. And I don't think people are really thinking.
I totally agree. Look, what you just said is a perfect example where the virtue signaling of training the mother sounded good to everybody, but nobody thought about having daycare so the mothers could come and get the training, which if you
Yeah,
ran a business, you would fail immediately because that wouldn't work. And so you'd go,
correct.
okay, what went wrong? And then you'd fix it. And the problem is that most of those programs are just a line item with no accountability with results. Like, when's the last time, right? You saw
Yep,
a
correct.
politician get an allocation, come out and make a statement about how great they're doing something, but never close the loop with the accountability part of it. Yeah, it's
It's very
unbelievable.
challenging.
Yeah.
I know.
So the I was going to ask you about the parents because I have three children, two of them have kids, and we talk a lot about the types of things that their kids are subject to in school and so on and so forth. And when it comes to the bullying or woke stuff or whatever it is, when I ask them questions, they say, "How are you handling that?" And my kids happen to be pretty smart and street smart and, otherwise too. But they say that's the parents' fault. The parents are letting this happen, right? Whatever is going off the rails, right? And so to them, to my kids, for example, I know it's not a good sample set, but they're saying it's if the parents are letting it happen, then it's their fault, right? So they just don't know any better. So you have to work on the parents, right?
Yeah, so and that's the challenge is like, you have parents that don't work or parents that work three jobs.
Right.
Like people that are in like the communities we're in, like I want to really solve problems. Like and I have partners that are from these communities. Like so at the end of the day, it's like I have to understand that as a business owner and kind of like a purpose-driven guy that wants to go make a big impact. Um, I mean, I showed up yesterday at our Florida City campus and I played basketball. I brought him a bunch of balls first day of school, and we actually lost. My team lost, but I whooped some of the guys, and I did like 5 or 6 shots in a row from 3 point,
Nice.
and so it's yeah, no, I was doing good for a little bit. And it's interesting because I it's difficult. It's really difficult because people want homelessness to exist. The banks want people to be in debt.
Yes, that's true.
Like the amount of people that are getting funded. Look at the homeless situation in LA.
Yeah.
LA has like 30,000 or 40,000 homeless kids. LA homeless I forget the name of the organization. I know the owner. I asked him once, I go, why don't you figure out how to solve homelessness? He's like, I don't want to solve it. So,
Right.
it's a good business. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, like he's not my buddy. He's like, he was back in the day. I was like, you what? Like, this is crazy. Like people don't want to put themselves out of business. I do, like with those problems. Like I'd love just to educate kids with no problems, and make
Yeah.
sure we get to the next generation. But um I'm just blessed that I have really good mentors. I'm coachable. Back in the day, if I wasn't coachable, I would have got hit in the head a lot more.
Right.
Um, and I surround myself with people like you that are in the industry that are doing really awesome things that are interviewing amazing CEOs and changing the world.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have some impact. We're we don't have to make money all the time. We're totally cool about doing this sort of thing. It's fine.
Yeah,
And I'm grateful that we're able to do it. You know, when people say to me, this isn't to self-aggrandize, but when, we help somebody, I'm saying, I'm just glad I can, right? I'm gonna, I'm
yeah.
glad I can, right? Uh, so let's get back to the parents. Are they coachable? In the
Some,
parents of these kids that you get into the school, are they going, holy shit, my kid just was transformed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it might be all over the map depending on how many kids they have and what drug problems they have
yeah.
or whatever. But are they coachable as a rule or no?
I don't think it's are they coachable? It's do they have time to be coached?
Yeah.
Do they want what's best for them and their kids? 100%. What I really have loved the last 2 years. So last year, a parent graduated with their kid, like walked the
How
stage.
cool is that?
The year before, a parent walked with their kid, and one of their kids walked the year before that.
Wow.
So now we're graduating parents from high school.
Wow.
So, so it's a at your own study. So it's like it's equivalent to like what a GD would be. It's in between like GD and high school diploma. The only difference is we're high school accredited. We're accredited. Our what we call our grad program, GRAD. Our grad program is accredited through Cognia. So you can get in the military. We've already got this backed by military, by colleges. So it's really cool that parents are waking up the ones that need things. And we're here to support. The other thing is the amount of kids in the south of Miami. We have a lot of kids that speak only Spanish. They come from other countries. And some people on more of the conservative side would be like, we don't need those kids in our schools. And I'm like, we do. Those kids are either going to be on the streets or those kids are going to be educated. And so I was with a kid yesterday, I played basketball with him. He was from Dominican Republic, moved here 9 months ago, and doesn't speak English at all. And
But you
so what
can
are we going
fix
to do?
that, right? I mean, you can teach him how to speak English, right?
We can, yeah, for sure, 100%. What the industry in education does today is they'll stick them into an English learning class. So this kid is either 16 or 17 ish. I think he was a junior. So 16 or 17 years old, might be 18. They stick him into an ESL class. At the same time, they're going to stick him into all the regular English classes
And he
when
can't
they don't
learn
even speak
anything.
English.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. What we do is we do digital learning for about 90% of the content. All the experiential content, like what Tony does, Tony Robbins, or different people, all this experiential learning, we do that stuff all in person in their language. So we have teachers in every school that have kids that are Spanish speaking. We have Spanish teachers,
Yeah.
Spanish speaking teachers. So it's great because we're looking at how do we solve some of these hurdles. But then on the digital curriculum, when they're taking that math, science, English, social studies, they're taking it in Spanish.
Yeah.
So there's no loss. Now our other staff and kids start bonding with them over project-based learning and different things that we do within the classroom in English. So they're learning on this process, but they're just not left behind because they can't speak the language in the classes. And what's happened a lot of times, the kids will fail multiple classes or multiple years, then they're kept back, and then they start feeling a certain way about themselves
Yeah,
that
of
doesn't
course.
add value to their life.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah,
So how do you uh I want to talk about how you decide where to have the schools, but let's
yeah.
first talk about once you have one, where where do you find the students? Like, how's that process work?
Yeah, so we work with local schools. We work with local after-school programs, foster care organizations, judges, homeless shelters, and we go we go everywhere. We have recruiters that go in and talk to the parents, say, "Hey, this is what we can do for your student."
Wow. A lot of work,
Yeah,
right?
it's a ton of work, and
Yeah.
I find that I mean, I find this is an impact investment is great. I would rather have more purpose in my life than profit.
Yeah.
Profit's great at the same time. And that's why we're building the tech side of it. That's why we're building so we can, we might go public with it, who knows, right? But it's going to be worth a lot more because we're going to sell to other private schools. And we've created a product where it's better than anything else on the market. just as where it's at today, it's better than anything on the market that we've been able to find because it links multiple different systems. We built one system, but it's multiple products in one system. Right now, I got to use this platform, SaaS platform for this, and this SaaS platform for this. With ours, if you pay it's going to be about $300 per year per kid. Um, you're going to save your school in staffing or resource or whatever about $600 on the back end. And I'll give an example. Super simple. Um, kids come into the school right now, and schools literally for attendance check off by hand. It's all digital. There's still small private schools, right?
Yeah.
Transcripts. I'm not even joking you. Our team last year, we were doing transcripts on individually, manually. What this does, because it's all digital, it's one platform. You take the class on it, it automatically adds a transcript.
Yeah.
So the amount of time that's going to be cut down, and the best part is the kids with like IEPs, 504s, they have learning challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I did, I was put in that special ed class. My only biggest challenge was comprehension. Doesn't mean I couldn't do math. Couldn't mean I can't communicate. Doesn't mean anything else. But what they did is they tested me for what I wasn't good at. They never tested me for what I was good at.
Right.
And so what we're doing is we're testing kids with their learning style assessments, their love language assessments, their iReady assessments to know where they're at on grade level. And then we're testing them. We're doing, there's a couple other tests that they've done, like the ASVAB assessment. We do it with the US military every year for every senior for a career assessment. But we want to test them and show them what they have the potential, most potential to go after so they can become as successful and significant within their lives.
Yeah. Super interesting.
Yeah.
It's
And we're able to make money doing it, and it's for profit. And my goal is, I mean, we're doing a raise right now for 8 million. It's a 36-month convertible note. My goal is like people are like, why don't you do equity? And I'm like, well, number one, we don't have, like we I find that if people don't want to be a part of our company long term, I want them to get a taste of it. And I want them, if they like it, we'll pay them some
get their money
interest. If
back.
they
Yeah.
don't after
Yeah.
3 years, they get their money back. And
Or
so
or
people are like, why don't
convert
you
it,
just
right? Yeah.
yeah, or convert, right? Like we did a $50 million cap, and I think we're going to hit within 36 months. I think we're going to hit 100 plus mil because we have the tech play. We're converting our whole company over to tech, just like what WeWork did.
Yeah.
We're not going to get a crazy 50x. We might get a 10 or 20,
Okay.
but our majority of our market is going to be us selling. Like we can get up, I think my goal would be to like 700 to 1,000 schools, like in the next like 15 years. And we're going to do that through our tech. Like we're going to know in our tech which schools are not doing well. We're going to have we actually designed a coaching program for private schools on what we've been able to do so they can do the same thing. And if they don't want to pay for it, then we can come in. We can also be like, hey, we'll buy you out. We'll buy 80% of your company. Let us bring all our tech in. You don't have to do anything. We'll convert you guys from a nonprofit to a for-profit or whatever we have to
And you
do.
get the
And
data.
then you have
Yeah.
a retirement.
Yeah.
Like why not have a retirement? And you can have ownership in the holding company. So now you're spread out, throughout, X amount of schools, and we have tech, and then the real estate we're buying. And we're able to so this is crazy. We're paying $300 a year on average per kid within our facility. Now, I've converted every building myself with our team. I've been in charge of converting every building into business or warehousing into education. It's very difficult. And they just passed some laws where we don't have to do that as heavily anymore. Like DeSantis just passed a law here in Florida. You don't have to you can have a movie theater, a rec center, a church where you don't have to convert. So it's because they're assembly already. So we're going to be able to move, and it's going to be a lot cheaper. We have a lease agreement that we haven't signed yet with a movie theater. So we're going to do movie theaters next year where we just rent them during the day when they don't play movies. And we get everything they have. We have all the bathrooms, everything else is a fixed rate. It's really, really simple. And we'll have like 10,000 people a month going into movie theaters looking at our school. Like it's automatic growth right there. So we're looking at different models. We just got a sheriff on board to do like this sheriff's, what we're going to call Sheriff's Academy, and work with the 33,000 plus sheriffs around the country and build certificate-based like 911 call center high schools. where they'll get out with multiple certificates so they can go into law enforcement at 18 because you can't become a cop at 18. You can't go, you usually it's 21. I mean,
Yeah.
you can do different things. You can do like some jail stuff and sheriffs and different jobs, but you can't patrol. So that's interesting. But our we're paying $300 a year per student for the real estate on a lease, and the normal is $1,200 a year per student for a charter school to rent it from their for-profit real estate company.
Uh,
And so what we've done is we're now able to buy a property, then we lease it back for $1,200 a year per kid, which comes out to about 80 a square foot. And now we take $1 million property on average, and now it's worth $4 million.
yeah.
And then we just did our first 50% LTV, and we bought a building for 309. We got it appraised at 2.4, and we pulled out 1.2. And so it's great. Like it's amazing because I know, like, I'm just sitting with really smart guys like you that know this game on how to build wealth. So, on those $4 million buildings, I can pull a mill out and pay for the building. I can then pull a million out, it's about 800,000 after, all fees and everything like that. And I can actually put that money into our company, maybe loan it to a school or, pay partners. And then I can take the $2 million that are left over, and when we have 100 billions, now we have $200 million worth of real estate.
Yeah,
Now I
exactly.
can leverage that for a line or whatever else. So there's multiple things that are going to give us value long term. Plus healthcare, we're going to have Medicare and Medicaid that we can build next year. And we're finishing up a partnership with a local doctor that has 5 medical clinics. And so we're utilizing his 5 medical clinics as the hubs if somebody during school business hours doesn't need something. But then we're putting our mobile medical clinics into our schools, and then we're going to serve our parents, our families, and everybody else. So I'm looking at this as like, how do we transform not only the education piece, but we have transformed the body, we have transformed the mind. So we're doing physical health and mental health. I'm saying health care, not sick care.
Right.
So we're going to be doing prevention-based blood, gut work, all the stuff that probably you and I do. I do blood work every 6 months now. Like I want to know where I'm at. I've done a body scan. I've done a bunch of really cool stuff, but
In
it
general, the
costs
general
me.
population is not doing this because they're too busy doing other,
No,
right? And I mean, they may
and they
not even
don't
know
know.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know about this stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I look at people and they're like, I've been like, and I'm talking wealthy people. I've talked to so many family offices. They're like, yeah, I blood work, and I'm like, yeah, I do it every 6 months. They're like, why? I'm like, so you can prevent something from happening. Like you guys just don't, you're not gonna give me $1 million, just give me $1 million, right? You're gonna look at my data room first, part of my investment bank out of Chicago, Regiment Securities. You're gonna look at the data and
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, okay, cool, I understand it. So it's interesting to like, why are we not doing this as society, but it's not the norm? And then doctors today, like what RFK is doing and Dr. Oz, like
Amazing.
they're mandating real health coaching.
Yeah.
Like you
Amazing.
got to know health or nutrition, I think it was.
Yeah. My wife, she's not really my wife, but because I'm never getting married again, but she agrees. But we've been together a long time, and
That's good.
she's several years younger than me, and also trained as a medical professional and also strength and conditioning coach. And so we go to the gym 5 days a week, play tennis 2 days a week, and go into the sauna. And we do all this stuff. And so you have to do that stuff. It's just like you got to keep the operating system going, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it's like Richard Wilson from Family Office Club. Like I do a lot of his events. I host a pro athlete panel, and he asked a group of people probably 2 years ago who spends over 30,000 a year on their health. And I'm looking like I spend a little bit, but not 30 grand. I'm like, I pay for a gym. I mean, my company does. I do some really cool things. Like I do blood work. But I also have, I do it smart. Like I work with a doctor that's also not going to, jack me up on crazy prices on everything too.
Not
So
only that, he's
it's
not going to give
interesting
you
to like,
drugs that you don't need, right?
Yeah, and I don't want any drugs. I don't want to be on any pharmaceutical drugs. My goal, like,
Nor do I.
obviously, is like
Yeah.
I want oxygen and water, right? Like
Yeah,
I want
right.
the good stuff.
Water,
So yeah, I
water's
mean,
life.
I love what you do on this. Like, I've seen some of your on YouTube, some of these interviews, and it's amazing to look at how you're transforming the next generation of businesses to be able to get funded and grow, because that's what we all need, is the right relationships.
Yeah, we're super grateful for, I mean, it's been a long time, Daniel. It's been 13 years in earnest that we've been doing Family Office Insights. And fortunately, on one hand, it's not scalable because it's not a scalable business. But on the other hand, a lot of people have benefited from it on the receiving capital side and on the deploying capital side. So we're super grateful for how it's worked out. And we keep on trying to do the best we can. So
Yep,
let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the raise. So it's a convertible with a 50 cap. It's
yep.
uh, you're raising 8 million. What's the drop dead date before you close it out? About.
So we're looking at the end of we have some really cool things coming up. We're looking at the end of November. Because we want to start, and we don't need it all in one shot either, which is great. So if a family office, like, I really need it over about 12 months, but I want to be able to secure the whole thing. Because we're going to use some of it for some schools, and tech. So out of 8 million, 6 million goes to tech. And $2 million goes to, sorry, 2 million go to tech, $6 million goes to building 21 more schools. And I think that creating um I think creating the full raise now will give us the leverage to run as fast as we can. And I think we can leverage it as fast as we can.
How
And I
many
think we
schools
could
do you
get
have
up to
now?
maybe we have 9.
And what states are they in? Just curious. Florida,
They're,
Arizona.
they're in Florida, Arizona, and West Virginia.
Nice.
Yep.
Has there been any pushback from the local schools that are public? Forget about the other charter schools because they're probably wishing they were you. But do the public schools give you pushback?
No, because we're solving their problem.
Yeah, I bet you are. Yeah,
Yeah, so we work with them heavily. I mean, I used to work with the teachers union. Like they're great. Our teams are great. We're solving some of the problems that they can't handle, and it's great. It's a win-win. Like I'm not going after the general population.
right.
I am going after the ones that the kids that are not fitting within their school.
Yeah. And is it fair to ask what you see as the when people graduate, what are the occupations they're going into? Or are they going on to
So
college, for example?
yeah, yeah. A majority of our kids go straight into career. The first one. Second group is they go to trade school. They'll go into the military, and then they'll go to college. Like Miami-Dade College is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what would have otherwise happened? They would have been in jail, whatever, right? A whole bunch of things.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some stats. I don't know them off the top of my head, but if you don't get a high school diploma in America, the amount of money that you're going to make over your career is significantly less than if you have a high school diploma as at least a base foundation.
Yeah.
So we want to get them the base foundation, but we do a lot of other things. I mean, our kids leave with a resume, a LinkedIn account, financial literacy, interview skills. Like, we have a whole senior project that you have to do to get out of our high school.
Right. So
It's a
smart.
lot.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
many people don't even understand how to open a bank account or do all that kind of stuff. It's silly how ridiculous that is to, teach kids that, you know.
Yep.
It's so congratulations, man. I really appreciate you doing this. And good for you
Yeah.
for
I would love to have you. I'd love to do a school in Utah with you, by the way.
yeah.
Or have you a part in some way. I'd love to talk offline, and I think Utah is going to be huge. market for us. There's a lot of really low income areas that we would fit right into.
Salt Lake
And
City is booming, and it's got a lot of problems that medium-sized cities have. We're in Park City, so we're, a little insulated from a lot of that. But we know it's there. I mean, people are dying to come to Salt Lake City. It's ridiculous what's going on.
yeah,
And there's a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah. It's
smart people here and a lot of businesses, and the people in Salt Lake would want the city to be good, right?
yeah. I think that. So I think the biggest challenge is that gentrification is crazy, but without the change. So
Yeah.
you can push people all over the place, but guess what? You and I still have somebody that probably cleans the house, or that, like, my assistant, like, is young, right? Like, he's not 50 years old cleaning house, like he's 19 or 20 or something, 21. Like, but he helps me out. Like, when I need stuff, like, I have meetings at my house all the time. Like I'm like, hey, can you cook for lunch? I got my partners coming over. It's easier than ordering a bunch of food because
Yeah.
it's gonna take an hour to get here from Uber, right? Or whatever. So, like, at the end of the day, it's interesting, like, to be able to have um people that, yeah, I think that those jobs, like those lower paid jobs, need to be the younger kids, but we restrict our kids today to work until they're like 14 to 16 years old. Like, some states, like some jobs is 18 years old. So we expect an 18-year-old to start at 18 and be self-sufficient by the time they graduate high
I
school.
know it's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
they don't get any human communication skills except for
No,
the natural cohort of people which have the same issues that they do, right? So I'm not
100%.
going to ask this in a way that you don't have to get yourself in trouble. In the states that you operate, let's just talk about Florida. If somebody is not a legitimate US citizen or in some other way legitimately here, can you still get paid? I'm not saying that you
Yeah.
are, so I'm not trying to
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
you in a box, but there's are there students that because of the state or because of the rules that are currently in place, they still need to go to school, right?
100%. Yeah. We can get paid off a student that is not from here originally.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
And the goal is I have kids that are here from other countries that are on, like, farming work visas with their parents for a period of time, and we get them graduated, and then they apply for citizenship.
Isn't that cool? Become
Like,
productive parts of society, right?
that's what we want. Like, we
Yeah.
we don't want to actually, we want to be able to serve the next generation. We just have to figure out how to do it right. If somebody's going to be like, America is, I mean, you know it, I know it. Like, I've been to other countries. Why do you think so many millions of people are coming here every year? Because the opportunity here is just absurd.
It's exponentially more than anywhere else. And I just came back from Greece and Italy, by the way, and I love it. I happen to be Greek, but I was so happy to come back to the US, right? It's,
Yeah,
there's a different sentiment over there. Yeah,
100%. I think that we need to, like, there's a lot of people that are saying, like, no, we don't want illegal immigrants. I don't need to get into it, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of jobs that we need people. And I agree, it shouldn't be illegal, it should be done. But our whole entire system is jacked up on how people get here in our country to do jobs that people don't want to do here. And we made it like that because we don't want our kids working.
right,
And we need our kids working, and we need them to learn. Like, I showed up yesterday in our Florida City campus, and I told them my first job at 12 years old was cleaning my father's toilets at his company.
right.
And you could hear the noise in the room. It was like, ooh. And I'm like, here's the deal. How many guys want to be wealthy and have a lot of money? And everybody in the room raised their hand. I'm
Yeah,
like, okay. So how do you know how to tell your cleaners how to clean your company when you don't know how to do it yourself?
yourself. Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Like, let's figure this stuff out. And unless you're self-made and rich and everything else, and you want to then get wealthier, but guess what? You're not.
yeah,
If you were, you'd be in a whole different situation. And even if you're like my kid, he cleans up after himself. He's 4 years old. He did this art piece right here
yeah.
behind. Like,
Nice.
last year, like, he had 5 art paintings sold for $3,800 at Art Basel.
Good
He
for
just donated one. We donated one. It sold for 20 grand at an auction for a nonprofit.
it's,
Like he's learning a skill set
yeah,
of painting. And then guess what he does? He cleans up after. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's 4 year. Like we have to train our kids today. Parents have to train their kids to do the basic fundamentals and enjoy it for a purpose.
yeah.
Because you get to clean up. Guess what? Now it's clean for the next round. You don't have to come in and you have everything all over the place and your ink dries up and you can't paint anymore.
Guess what? Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So, but we have something in common then. My son also sh showed at Art Basel several years ago. He's a painter. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was a whole wild experience, and he's super talented artist and a musician. And we did the whole Art Basel thing because I know a bunch of people down there, of course, and it was wild uh, and successful.
It's amazing. We had probably 40 people show up to my son that's a 4 year old art show.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy. Yeah, good for you, man.
and they're my relationships, right? They're all my relationships. But my son goes to family office events. He goes to we were at dinner a couple nights ago with a billionaire, and we had like 15 people. And my son stands up when he was the last one to speak. And I started off about who I am and what I'm up to. And he stands up at the end. He talks about he talks about tornadoes. He talks about monster trucks. He goes, my name's Conrad, and they're like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 4. And it's like he's speaking in front of people now, and these skill sets are people don't understand.
Priceless,
Like
priceless. Yeah,
I challenge the dads, part of your family office club. I challenge every single one of you here. Bring your kids to conferences and the boardrooms and the like, even if they're going to jump on and watch a little like YouTube or something like that, but if they're around it to a certain point, they're going to start learning from you. And if they don't learn it, then you're literally jacking them up because if you think school is more important than taking my kid to a family office club event, I'm like this. That's insane. Like what you're gonna that one's real life and one is like bookwork. Like I want the practical in my life.
yeah, totally. I've done the same thing. My son used to listen to me when I had back in the day when we had audio cassettes. When I'd go to conferences, I'd buy all the speaker cassettes and we'd drive around and listen to it. And he would be able to, he got it and able to repeat what the essence of what somebody said was really valuable. By the way, we think a lot of Richard Wilson. He's a good guy. Known him for a long time. So good for you.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So thanks for doing this, Daniel.
I,
We really appreciate it. And such great work you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, if anybody wants any more info, I can give my email. It's dp at Puder, Puder.AI. You can email me direct. We can get you over data room, whatever else. You ever need advice, wisdom, help to get your kids in a school or direction, email me and just put in the subject line. Saw you on Arthur's roundtable and would love to be able to support anybody that needs help in this.
I really appreciate that. It's very generous of you. Let's do
Yeah,
this again
happy
and
to be.
we'll talk offline. Okay?
You got it.
Doing
Thank
it.
you, Arthur.
Thank you everybody for joining us today. Take care. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.